It was seriously like it followed me, but it was cool. But he was like outside of my friend Josue, the Gammy, like he was the other one that kind of gave me an understanding of like, he was like, even if I taught you where I'm from, it's not the same if you go to the other side of the island, and if you go to the Dominican, they speak they were like, I don't even know what they, and it's funny how, and then. If you talk to somebody who's Dominican, they're like, I don't even know what.
Or if you talk like what do you say, like Cubans, they speak like they got cotton in their mouth. They're like,
and it's funny because then you and then when you start to pick up on it, you realize like it's like everybody just kind of.
Even so, my dad he grew up in Salinas, which is like more towards Ponce, the southern part of the island, and then his dad moved them up to the northern part, like the middle. Of like almost like the exact middle of the northern part of Puerto Rico is Vega Alta, right? And when my dad went up there, so my dad's nickname, his friends would call him Ficha, and I always wondered, why did they call him Ficha? And then I found out like a Ficha is kind of like a 5-cent piece or something like that. And my dad said that on the northern part of the island they called it like a peseta or like a chavo or something like that. But my dad said that in the southern part of Puerto Rico they called it a ficha, and so it's like, can I have can you lend me a ficha? Or can I get a ficha? And the kids were like, that's weird. It's like, why are you saying ficha? And it stuck. They started calling him ficha, all the way up until
funny.
84 years old. He was ficha, and that was his street name. Even my aunts would ficha. That's and that name was given to him, I think, at like 10, 11 years old. Yeah. And it's weird because, like I said, like Puerto Rico is about like geographically the size of Connecticut, and that there's that little bit of a cultural difference between the northern part of the island and the southern part of the island.
Oh, in Connecticut there is too. Like if you go to the northern part, it almost feels like Mass, and you go to the southern part, like when you hit Greenwich, Stanford, it starts to feel New York. Like you start to feel like you're like, I'm not in Connecticut.
Yeah. Going to my friend's, I remember in high school, my friend's dad had like a small farm in Putnam.
Okay.
And that felt, say, country, like like a little rural, and like you said, then getting to like the border of New York, and it's like totally different from
even the pavement and the New Jersey barriers are just like, it looks tore up, and it's like, but it's funny because even when like
or even like going down to New London, and comparing like New London to Meriden, and there's certain things.
Yeah, Meriden's got that city, but it's got that New England like factory city, like New Britain. Yeah. Waterbury is like the same. Whereas you get to like Bridgeport, it's more like, it's funny because we used to say like when Meriden had the mills, people used to be like, it's like people who come up from New York and live in the mills, they'd be like, I feel like I'm in New York still.
Yeah, because it's like it's the projects.
Yeah, the projects, and then you'd be like, no, but this is the projects. Nah, that's a village. What are you talking about? You guys got like duplexes.
Yeah, that's
not a
nice.
House. Yeah, but I got roaches too. Like people would start arguing about how like what part of it's real here.
That's not real projects.
Yeah, but people piss in the staircases here. They don't piss in the staircase at your house. Like I'm sitting there like, I don't got this problem in my house.
I don't want to live either place.
We pee in the toilet. Yeah. So, but it's funny because when there's nothing like going to like, it's really not, because it's weird when you travel, like and you're like, I remember being in Georgia and in Savannah, and they're like, this is the projects. There's just like these brown little like duplexes, and I'm like, outside of the fact there's no grass, it looks nicer than New York. And then you go to Philly and it's like, this is projects, and they're all like row houses in Baltimore, and you're like, all right.
I remember
you're like, all right, whatever. Like
my mom had a real good friend that lived in the projects, and I remember, I hated going there just because like it seemed a little drearier.
Well, because everybody's not like, because when you look at it, it's like you hear stories, and then you visit or you go shopping, and you're like, I want to go here, and it's like Flatbush ain't that bad. Like, what are you talking about? It's bad here. It's like, you got maybe like a 6 or 7 apartments above the storefront, and you're like, it's not bad. It's like, no, it's really bad. At night it gets bad here. And then like you go to Queens, and then it's like you see like or like the Bronx in certain areas, and there's like 12, 25-story projects, and it's like, you know, and you're like, I don't know, like this looks different. I remember going to Co-op City and being like, 100,000 people live here. I'm like, it's got to be bad, because if I live with 100,000 people and it gets hot out, I'm gonna fight.
Yeah,
you know, and then there's nothing like. I still will say, like, New York City, there's nothing like a summer day, a hot summer day, because there's a different, like, it makes you angry. Like, it's like you're walking down the street. It's like, it's 95 out. It's like, no, it's 120 in the pavement, trapped between the buildings. And then you realize, like, that's why people get mad. And it's always interesting.
There's like that blackout that I was talking about. That was it 78?
Yeah, because my father-in-law he talked about it because
77.
Yeah,
was it the blackout was 77?
77 or 78.
Yeah. But it was during the summer.
Yeah,
and you have a blackout. It's like you can't run your fans, can't run your AC, and people riot it.
You know what's crazy to me, if you think about it though, and you know, we're gonna cut this podcast off soon. But it's crazy to think that, like, when we were young, hot wasn't hot. Like now, if we were the same hot, we'd be angry. And how, like, AC is such a privilege.
Well,
like, it really is a privilege.
So here's the thing. So in my parents' home in Puerto Rico, they don't have AC. And so my daughters are very spoiled. Like me, like I grew up without AC. You know, we just turn on the fan, or I remember having a box fan in the window.
Take a cold shower, get out.
Yeah. No, I told my girls, you know what? When I'm in Puerto Rico, I take at least 2 showers a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3. And my daughter's like, no, my skin will dry out. And it's like, well, then you know what? Suffer. But
first world problems.
Yeah. But you know, going down there, and they're like, it's so hot, and they wanna go to a store just because the store has AC. Or they're like, let's go to the movies or a restaurant, anywhere that has AC. Because when we get back to the house, it's just fans. It's like, you're hot, turn on the fan. It's like, it's just blowing hot air. But it's like, oh, you know what? Take a shower. Take that shower I told you to.
But it's crazy because it's like that's normal to people that live there. It's just like I was watching the news about how in Europe it's getting so hot there, but that their power grid and their system that they use is not conducive to like AC, because it's just like the wattage and the stuff. So like when it got to be like 100 degrees in like England, people went out and bought like the portable air conditioners they order on like Amazon and stuff, and they plugged it in and like shorted out the whole house, because like they're like, we have the 15 watt or whatever it is, like the 75, and so like, you know, if you plug an air conditioner in, you can't have like another plug-in, because that's the amount that plug can deal with. But yet when you go to like Puerto Rico and overseas, people don't realize the infrastructure is different. And so it's funny to just think that, like, you know, we're just spoiled. I remember growing up, like when we finally moved from the apartment to the house, I remember, and I'm sure a lot of people have that story out there, that like their parents got the air conditioner, or the air conditioner was in the main room. So like if you had a family room, or where all the kids went to play like their video games and stuff, you had a fan. That was it. And then like if you wanted to watch TV in the big room, you had to watch what the adults watch, but you had an air conditioner. I remember like the first time we moved, and then we moved from that house to like a nice neighborhood, and it had central air. And I remember I was like, I could just flick a switch and turn it to like 68, and the air will just come on. Like I was like 14. I'm like, this is amazing.
It's magic.
And now I'm back where we don't have central air, so I put air conditioners in. And I'm like, you know, I want central. Like it's weird. And then you go to like, you know, I would go down to like Virginia to visit my aunt, and they would be like, we're not turning the air conditioner on. They're old, so they'd be like, we're not turning the air conditioner on. Or I go to my aunt's, my mom's sister, and I'd be like, can you turn the AC on, Auntie? Why? Open the window, put the box fan in, it'll cool down. It's like, it's not cooling down. And, you know, I'm like, this is not okay. And so it's just amazing.
That's when you find other ways to, like, in Puerto Rico, I put the sealant, I told you about putting the sealant on my parents' house.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, that white paint, so it reflects.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how much of a difference it actually makes. So, like, you find other ways, you know.
But listen, you got to do what you have to do. It's not, you know, it's not the,
Yeah, but my daughters, they're like, AC, we need AC.
Yeah.
Or they want to ride in the car just because the car has AC.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Calm down. But that's something that they have to get used to. But it's cool because I wish I could bring my kids to certain places, like and give them have them experience what your kids get to experience, because it's like they're going to experience, like, this is how it was when we were here, or this is how it was when I lived in New York. Like, suck it up. Like, when we get home, shut the door when the AC's on. You should be appreciative of that. And so, like, you hear a lot of people that travel, especially like overseas, and they're like, I now know the comfort I have. Like, we're spoiled. And I think, like, even you're, going into the Navy and visiting all the other areas and then coming back to the United States, where it's like, this is a right. And the places you go don't have the same rights we have. And it's like,
you realize how lucky we are, yeah?
Yeah. But, we got to have you on another podcast.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. But before you go, the last question. It's the most powerful comic book hero. First in Marvel, and then we'll go DC. So, the most powerful comic book hero in Marvel.
All right, so there's a lot of powerful characters, but as for like a hero for Marvel...
all right, let's just say just most powerful character in Marvel.
Oh, if you say most powerful character, then... So there's a character called the One Above All.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's basically God. So
yeah, well,
but so that's why I said there's entities.
Yeah.
But if like a superhero, like and not that he hasn't been beaten before, but like in my opinion, one of the most powerful would be the Silver Surfer.
We had this conversation. Yeah. Yep.
Because he could transmute material. So like imagine being able to switch around the molecules and change one thing to another thing. And he's got the power cosmic, that he got from Galactus, and so a lot of powers that other heroes have, he could basically like duplicate. He could do the same thing. He can go toe to toe physically with like the Silver Surfer. Thor or Hulk. He could duke it out with them, but he's got like massive energy manipulation. He can travel across the galaxy in the blink of an eye. And then for DC, it has to be the icon, that kind of, Superman.
Evil Superman or
no,
Superman?
Just Superman,
Okay.
And so, and I'm sure, he got defeated by Doomsday.
Yeah.
But he came back and defeated Doomsday. And I think that's the thing. Like, in order for a character to be interesting, they can't be unbeatable. Because you're like, it's boring. But
yeah, it has to be semi-human.
Yeah. But Superman, I think he's the one that he's the benchmark that everyone like. Oh, he's faster than Superman, or he's stronger than Superman,
yeah.
Or they're always comparing to Superman because Superman's like, he's got the speed, he's got the physical power, he's got and so that's my opinion for Marvel. It's Silver Surfer, and I said there's there's other more powerful characters, like there's let's see, Reed Richards' son, Franklin Richards.
Yeah, I know what you know. Yeah.
Or there's there's the Beyonder. There's Mephisto who's trying to steal the Silver Surfer's soul. There's Galactus himself who made the Silver Surfer. But for like a superhero that
I'm still upset that they haven't really featured a Silver Surfer. Like, I know they tried to do it in the Fantastic Four, but they kind of made him like almost like a castaway, like almost like how X-Men does with Gambit.
You remember how they showed Galactus in that movie?
Yeah,
it was just
that's why it was garbage. That's why it was like Green Lantern. Like like you can't. How about who's your favorite X-Men?
So it switches like and it's funny. It's like, oh, why do I like this character now? Why do I like this character? But it used to be Wolverine.
Okay,
but I think.
He's kind of the normal.
Everyone ended up really, like I liked Wolverine back when he was starting to get popular. Like I would say I got into comic books around 1984.
Yeah,
and
so it was in the 1990s Wolverine. You like the 1980s version, yeah.
And so, like back in the 80s,